Now, before 2015, right, the Ethiopian government had a master plan to grow and expand the capital Addis Ababa, right, in the direction and in the region known as the Oromo region, right, particularly in a place known as Oromia. Now, the Oromo region, right, Oromia, right, particularly belongs to a people known as the Oromo people, right? This is the largest ethnic group that you find in Ethiopia, right? They take about 35% of the total Ethiopian population, right? Which puts them at a number of about 40 million, 42 million, right? Which makes them, yes, the biggest ethnic group that you find in Ethiopia. Now, when the Oromo people, right, heard the plans, the master plan that the government, the federal government of Ethiopia, right, had to expand the capital, they understood that this will be at the expense of their farmland, right? So the Oromo people had suspicion that the government wanted to basically take more of their land, right, and more of their rights, right, at the expense of the Oromo people. So on November 2015, right, the Oromo protest began, right, where a number of people started protesting, right, the master plan of the government to expand into Oromia. Now, the protests themselves started off very peacefully, right, and very organized, right? But as time, right, and momentum picked up, right, they became very uncontrollable, right, because of certain provocations that came from the federal Ethiopian government, right? Things like arrests, kidnappings, right, killings and tortures, right, occurred when the government struck a crackdown on the protests. The protest grew to a point, right, where they carried on for a period of 2 years, right? It started about November 2015, and they carried on for 2 years, um, right up to 2018. Now, the protest became so overwhelming, right, that the Tigrayan federal Ethiopian government, right, started to buckle under pressure, right, and started to bend towards the demand of the protesters, right? And this is where a new president was introduced, particularly from the Oromo people, right, known as Abiy Ahmed. Now, Abiy Ahmed became president on the ticket, right, of developing a democratic centralized government, right, that basically will absorb the various different ethnic military groups into one centralized military. Another major thing that he achieved was to release all political prisoners who were imprisoned during the protests. And yes, there were literally thousands of them. But one major aspect that put Abiy Ahmed on the map, particularly the global map, is the peace deal that he orchestrated between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Yes, now this peace deal earned him a Nobel Peace Prize, right? Which gave him global recognition and notability. So the Oromo people took over governance, right? Particularly in 2016, to assume a democratic centralized form. They took this government from a Tigrayan federalized, organized government, right? A federal government which was organized by the Tigrayans. And particularly before 91, they had the people who were in government, right, were the Amhara people. When I say it was an Amhara government, right, that existed before 1993, I don't mean it as an ethnic group, right? It was the Amhara people dominated, right, in the ideology of Marxist, Leninist, militarist government, right? So the type of government which existed before 93 was a militarist, Marxist, Leninist government.